Hi, this is the last worksheet on data sufficiency. Yeah. So data interpretation and logic. So don't confuse this with the data, um, the what's it called? IR, the integrated reasoning section where you have multi-source reasoning, graphical interpretation, table analysis, and two-part analysis. That's a different section. So this is just the kind of questions that come under data sufficiency. Yeah. So data insights have data sufficiency and integrated reasoning. So I'm going to do the integrated reasoning separately. Okay. So this is the last installment on data sufficiency. And then I'm going to wind up and move on to integrated reasoning. Yeah. So first question, following graph shows a ball's arc length trajectory. So that's the red one. Yeah. How long was ball in air from the time it left the cannon to the time it hit the ground? Okay. So this part out here is the cannon. Okay. This one. And they're asking how long was it in air from the time it left the cannon till it hit the ground. So this is the ground. The ball traveled up at an average speed, which was half the average speed of it traveling down. Okay. So uh, if if this is speed s, and then this will be half the speed of s. Yeah. So remember the logic that that speed is proportional to the distance. So more the speed, the more distance covered. Yeah. And speed is inversely proportional to the time. Correct. So according to this logic, speed is inversely proportional to time. So if you have half speed, and like if this guy is taking time t, yes, with half speed, it'll take two times the time, right? Now, this logic is only applicable when the distance covered is the same. Now, clearly we can see the red part from here till here is a separate distance covered, and from here to here it's a separate distance covered. So you cannot apply this twice time if this is time t out here. Okay. So therefore you can't say that this is 16 seconds, and therefore you can't say this is 24 seconds. So A, B, C, D, E, A is out, D is out. Okay. So we're left with B, C, or E. Now the ball traveled a total distance of 25 meters on the arc length. So the total distance of the red portion is 25 meters. And that also doesn't tell us anything, because clearly we don't know whether this red shape out here and this red shape till here, they are uh, proportion, in equal proportion, right? So, so, so even if it was something like this, like a perfect inverted U-shaped parabola, like this, right? So even then we couldn't have really solved the question, okay, right? Because at the end of the day, we need to know the distance covered in the red, right? And even with an inverted U-shaped parabola, a perfect one, like this, we wouldn't have known, because this part is to be covered from here to here, right? And that we don't know the distance, okay? Yeah. So, like for example, if you consider this a perfectly inverted parabola, then here and here you can say, okay, this is x and x, okay? And then we are left with a y. So 2x plus y is 25 meters, correct? Right? So we cannot really gauge out whether x is like 10 and y is 5, 25, or when x is 7, 14, and this is kind of 11. We don't know that. So so again, we cannot really figure out. This 15 meters is a vertical distance. So B doesn't answer. Together also it won't answer. So answer Z. Okay. So that was the data interpretation part. Now the logic part. Larry's aunt is Zeba's sister. Okay. So Larry's aunt is Zeba's sister. So Zeba and aunt, they are both sisters. So even Zeba in that logic becomes the aunt. Understood? Of Larry. Now Zeba has two brothers, so clearly the aunt Zeba and the two brothers, yeah, Rahim and Rohan, they become all siblings. These four people, two sisters, two brothers. Rohan has two children, yeah. One of them is a friend of Larry, all right. So Rohan's one of the child is friend of Larry. Find out what is Rohan's child's name who's not Larry's friend. So we assume that C1 is friend of Larry, then clearly C2 is not friend of Larry. Okay. So we need to figure out the name of C2. And to not get into the part where, okay, so Larry's aunt, so is Larry a child of Zeba, or is he a child of Rohan or Rahim? You don't get into that. All right. Yeah. All right. So we don't know the relationship. Larry's, um, the aunt part out here is could be, you know, more like a friendly kind of a, you know, like the aunt out here is a friend of Larry's mother kind of a thing. So don't get into that. Okay. So now we got to figure out C2. That is Rohan's child, um, who's friend to Larry, who's not friend to Larry. So the name of Rohan's child who's not friend to Larry. Okay, so that's the part. A, B, C, D, E. First statement. Larry's aunt Zeba is married to Rohan's friend Balwan. Okay, so Larry's aunt Zeba, all right. So out here, Larry's aunt is Zeba's sister. Okay, right. So Larry's aunt Zeba is married to Rohan's friend Balwan. So Rohan's friend, yeah. So the Zeba, that is Rohan's sister, is married to Rohan's friend. Okay. Anyway, whose child Rihanna? Balwan and Zeba's child Rihanna is friend of Rohan's child. Is friend of Rohan's child. So yeah. So they're friends of Rohan's child, not a friend to Larry. So we know that Larry's aunt Zeba is married to Rohan's friend Balwan, whose child Rehana is a friend of Rohan's child. All right, so it could be friend also and cousin also, both. So we don't care about that. So we know that their child, the friend and Zeba's child is friend to C2. Yeah. So it doesn't give us the name, so A is out, D is out. Now Zeba has two children, Zoya and Rihanna. So we know that one of the child of this friend Balwan, yeah, and Zeba is Rihanna, and the second portion says the other child of Zeba is Zoya. So we already know there's Rihanna and there's this. So really, we don't have the answer to C2 out here, even when we take both statements together, right? So B is out, C is out. Again, we got an E. Okay. This was meant to be confusing, all right? Just to waste your time into the relationship part out here. Like Larry's aunt is Zeba's sister, right? Larry's aunt Zeba is married. So obviously Larry's aunt is Zeba's sister, right? So Zeba also becomes Larry's aunt in a way. Anyway, moving on to the third question. The table given below shows two groups F and T, where F is football and T is tennis. Find out how many of the 300 members play tennis but not football. So this is what we need to find out, X. Yeah, first statement. The number of members who play tennis, that is this one out here, is twice that who play football only. Football only. So this is football only, okay? Right? So suppose this is Y, then this one out here is 2Y, okay? Right? So then from statement A, 2Y plus this out here becomes 5 plus 30, this total is equal to 300. So 3Y is equal to 270. So Y is equal to 90. So we know this Y is 90 and therefore 2Y is 180. Yeah. So 90 and 30, 120. Yeah. So that's what we know, right? But we need to find X. X cannot be calculated. We know this is X plus 30, but we don't know this portion out here, right? So A, B, C, D, E, A doesn't answer. So D doesn't answer. Now we'll redraw the table, correct? Okay. That is 300. That is 30. Okay. And then we start again. The number of members who play both football and tennis is twice that who play neither. So this is 60. We know this. Now again, we are left with nothing out here. This is 60, 30. We don't know anything. But then when we include, so B also doesn't answer, but when we include both together, so we know this is 60. If this is 60 and this is 180, then we know X is 120. So that way we come to know X, what we need to find out. Who play tennis but not football is equivalent to tennis only. Tennis not football is tennis only. So that is 120. Yeah. So C is the answer for third one. Okay. So here's a question. A trend line is approximated using the data points of women's height versus weight shown in the graph below. Find out how many women who are at least 4.5 feet, right? So women who are greater than equal to 4.5 feet, yeah, are below the trend line. Now, none of the data points fall on the trend line. So we have to find out how many of the women who are at least 1.5 feet below the trend line. So now first information, trend line is plotted, if plotted, would pass to the following 3 points, this. So looking at this 42 and 4.6, 41, 42, 43, 44. So 42 and 4.6. So we have 1 point here. And then 46, 47 and 4.9. So we have another point here. So you can perhaps use freehand and draw this much, and you come to know that this point is not included. It is more than 4.5 feet, but it's not included. But this and this is included. Now whether or not this is below the trend line or above the trend line, we'll come to know using the third point, 52 and 5.2. So 52, 5.2. This one, this is the 52, 5.2 point. So if we extend this point and this point, so clearly we know that this point is also below. So then we come to know, I'll just draw it in green, the points which are below the trend line, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It says at least 1.5, so it is greater than equal to. It means at least means greater than equal to. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. We cannot include that one because it is not below the trend. Got it? Yeah. Now, if you want an exact mathematical solution rather than the freehand drawing and all, then you simply find out the slope from here. Yeah. Like m is y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. Yeah. And get an equation. So the equation is, so this is 5.2 minus 4.9 upon 52 minus 47. So that is 0.3 upon 5. Yeah. So that's your slope, which is 3 upon 50. So we have y is equal to mx plus c, where c is the y-intercept, which is 3 upon 50x plus c. All right. C we don't know because we don't know where it's intersecting on the y-axis. So we have to find out c. So how do we find out c? We plug in one of these points, any of these points. So I'll plug in this 52 and 5.2. Yeah. In this equation. So y is 5.2. Yeah. Upon 3 by 50x. X is 52 plus c. So using this, we calculate c and then we got an equation, right? So what is it? This is 52 by 10, right? Okay, so c is equal to 52 by 10 minus 3 into 52 by 50. Okay, so now if I multiply 5 on both sides, that is 52 into 5 and 50 down here because 5, then I'll get a common denominator 50 and 2 times 52, which is 104. Correct? So that is my C value. And then I get a perfect equation y is equal to 3 by 50x and plus 104 by 50. So then I can now figure out by, finding out this is the equation of the trend line. Yeah. So now I can plug in the points out here, each and every point. Like this point out here is 47 and 5.4. Correct? Yeah. 47 and 5.4. So X I put 47 and I'll see if, you know, Y is 5.4. Is it equal to it? Obviously, it's not going to be equal to it. So is 5 point, so after plugging in X as 47, whatever value we get for Y, yeah, if that value of Y is lesser than 47, correct? Yeah, is lesser than uh, 5.4, not 47, lesser than 5.4, correct? Yeah, then we know that this point is above the trend line, correct? But we have to find out below the trend line, correct? So, yeah. So after plugging in X as 47, if we get a value which is lesser than this Y value that we get, so like for example, we know this point is above the trend line. Okay, like imagine the dotted black line trend line is not drawn, but if you were to just use the equation, then whatever Y value we get, yeah, that is on the trend line, and this one, if this value is lesser than 5.4, then we know that this point is above the trend line, right? If this value was lesser than the Y value out here, then we know that this point would be below the trend line. Like for example, if you take this one out here, this is 42 and Y value is 4.4. So when we plug in 42 out here and we get a Y value which is greater than 4.4, right? then we know that this point is below the trend line. But it's a very complicated thing, so let's not get into that. What I showed you earlier, use freehand drawing and solve it. That's much better because this equation thing is time consuming. Yeah. So A answers. All right. Okay, second statement. So A, B, C, D, E. A answers. So B, C, and E is out. It's either A or D. There are exactly 6 women who are at least 4.5 feet tall and fall above the trend line. Now, if you guys notice something out here, right? All of these dots that you see, yeah, right? All of these dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. All of these dots are above 4.5 feet. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 dots are above 4.5 feet, right? And we want at least 4.5 feet. So there are 11 who are at least 4.5 feet, right? And there are exactly 6 women out of the 11 who are at least 4.5 feet tall and fall above the trend line. So out of the 11 women who are at least 4.5 feet tall, 6 women fall above the trend line. So if 6 are above the trend line, yeah. So 6 are above the trend line, then clearly out of the 11, 5 are below the trend line. Make sense? Yeah. Because we were left with only 5 people who are at least 4.5 feet tall. So if 6 are above, then 5 are going to be below. Make sense? So we got 5 earlier, right? We got 5 earlier, and we got 5 out here also. If you look at this, these are the points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 below the trend. And with this one also, we got 5 below the trend. So each alone is answering. Therefore, D is the answer. Okay. Fifth one. Now, I intentionally took this graph problem again. All right. So let's see. Following graph. Yeah. Something's coming in the picture. Okay. Anyway. All right. Following graph shows a bird's arc length trajectory. How long was the bird in air from the time it left the top of a 15-meter lamppost? So this is a lamppost out here. All right. That is the lamppost out here. To the time it flew down to a prey crawling on the ground. So there's some prey crawling on the ground out here. So this bird flew. So again, it's the same kind of question, but let's see what information we have. The bird flew up at an average speed which was half the average speed of it flying down. So if this is S, this is half S, right? Again, that same reasoning that if T is the time out here, this will be twice the time. But then clearly for that, we need to know that the distances covered out here and out here are to be same to be suggesting it is that if this is T, then this is twice the time taken. So we cannot assume that this is 16 seconds because we don't know whether the distances covered up and down are the same. All right. So A is out, D is out. So we're left with B, C, and E. Second statement. The sum of the vertical distance up and the vertical distance down traveled by the bird is equal to 25 meters. Now, this is an interesting question. Earlier, the 25 meters was the red color pathway. But now they're saying that the vertical distance up. So if I use this blue line, yeah. So far we have 15 meters from ground to here. And then from here, right? If this is also the vertical distance and this entire green portion is the vertical distance, right? So we can assume that this is 15 and let's say this is x. All right. So this is also x and this is 15. All right. Now remember the the bird flew from the top of the lamppost. So we cannot include this 15 meters. So the 25 meters include x plus the vertical distance x down plus the 15 meters which is parallel to this lamppost. So that is 25. So we know 2x is equal to 10. So we know x is equal to 5. Correct? Yeah. So now from the second statement, we know that the total distance down is x plus 15, which is 20, right? Speed is distance upon time, and the time is 8 seconds. So we know that this is 20 meters upon 8 seconds, which is 8 to the 16, 4 by 8. Therefore, it is 2.5 meters per second. Meters per second. Correct? Right? But yet, do we get to an answer as to how long he was in air? No. Correct? We don't know that part because we don't know the portion that this is 16 seconds or whatever this part. We don't know. We know that the distance gone up is 5 meters. Right? We know the distance up is 5 meters, but at what speed it has been traveling, that we don't know. Right? So B statement doesn't answer on its own. But now when we take both the statements together, then from the B statement we got 2.5 meters per second. And we know from the first statement that the bird flew up at a speed which is half of 2.5, which is 1.25 meters per second. So using that 1.25 meters in 1 second, therefore 5 meters, yeah, that the bird flew vertically up. I mean, the vertical distance covered by the bird, right? The bird did not fly vertically up. It is the distance it covered. I mean, it is the displacement that took place after it covered a distance, right? Yeah, yeah. Anyway, so this seconds we can find out 5 into 1 upon 1.25, which we know is 4 seconds. So now we know that this is, hang on a minute, 1.25 meters in 1 second. So 5 meters, how many seconds? 5 by 1.25. Yeah, it is 4 seconds. So now we know that the time it was in air, yeah, bird in air from the time it left. So how long it was in air? It was in air for 12 seconds. Okay. So C is the answer. Sixth one. Right. Now, the table below is the monthly budget of Amar. Find out how long would he be, after how long would he be able to save for his dream car. So Amar's monthly budget in Indian rupees is given as 80,000 salary, out of which 20,000 is savings, 200 is the interest on savings, 10,000 food, 25,000 house rent, utilities 10,000, transport is 10,000, and miscellaneous expenses is 5,000. So this is 25, this is 25, 50, 60, 70, 80. So his salary is completely accounted for. Okay. So dream car, there are 8 options: luxury, SUV, sedan, this, and the cost is given here. So now we got to figure out how long, after how long would he be able to save for his dream car. Statement A, B, C, D, E. Amar would prefer to take a loan of exactly so much, 2 million, and the remaining he would like to pay out from his savings, including the interest on savings. So he'll utilize this 220,000 per month and 200 per month interest on savings. Yeah. right? The remaining amount. But when we don't know which option he's going for, right? So the first statement cannot answer. D is out, A is out. B, C, E. B statement. Amar wants to purchase a car in the range of 400 to 500, 4 million to 5 million, and wants to purchase it within 5 years. So the second statement tells you that he wants to purchase a car in the range of 4 million to 5 million. So there are only two cars in the range of 4 to 5. The rest all are above or below 4 to 5. All right. So clearly both the cars are for the same amount. So therefore we can figure out as to what is the budget. But then we don't know from statement B, uh, find out how long would he be able to save for his dream car. All right. So from the second statement alone, we cannot figure out whether he's using only the savings component or the interest on the savings component as well. Right? If that was the case, then we could have got the answer. But from the second statement, yeah, we are not able to figure out whether it is the savings or the interest on savings. And secondly, uh, we don't know what is the strategy that he's using. Is he taking a loan, not taking a loan, right? But the main point is whether he's using his savings component only, or is he using his interest on savings as well? Okay. So B doesn't answer. Now, when we take both statements together, yeah, we know for a fact that he takes a 2 million loan. We know for a fact that his budget is 4,50,000. I mean, sorry, 4,500,000. Yeah. So then we can figure out, right? If he's taking a 2 million loan, and he's paying using interest on savings and savings both, then he needs to figure out for 2,500,000, because out of the 4,500,000, 2 million is using a loan, and the remaining is he's paying through this part out here, savings and interest on savings. So this is 20,200, right? So then we come to know that how many months, right? 20,200 for 1 month, then for 22,500,000, how many months? So then we can divide it and we get an answer. And that's how long he'll be able to save. After how long would he be able to save? So we can figure out how long, meaning in months, we can figure out, in years, we can figure out, or we can figure out the time frame basically using both statements together, right? Now, if anyone has a different answer, you can always comment and we can debate on it. Yeah, because um, I'm expecting different answers for this question. All right, the answer is C. Okay, both together. Seventh one. So it's a logic. Now, John, Jenny, and Jack are three siblings who are in the age group of 5 to 15 years. 5 years hence, John would be 2 times as old as Jenny. So let's say John is X, Jenny is Y, and Jack is Z. Okay. So 5 years hence, so X plus 5, John would be 2 times as old as Jenny. So 2 times as old as Jenny. So after 5 years, Jenny would also be not Y plus, but Y plus 5 after 5 years, and it'll be 2 times Y plus 5. So this is your equation. With this equation, how old is Jack? That is Z. We cannot figure out the answer from statement A. So A is out, D is out. Second statement, 5 years ago, John was 10 years old. So John, 5 years ago, was equal to 10 years old. So from the second statement, we know that John is 15 years old. But then that also doesn't tell us Jack's age, right? So B is also out. But when we take both these statements together, then we can plug in the value of X out here. So we get X plus 5, which is 15 plus 5, 20, is equal to 2 times Y plus 5. This 2 cancels with 20, gives us 10. So we got 10 is equal to Y plus 5. So we get Y is equal to 5. Y is who? Y is Jenny. And once we get y is equal to 5, then Jack. Hang on a minute. Huh? I made some error. Jack is 5 years older than Jenny. I think I forgot to consider statement A only. Yeah, yeah, I forgot. All right. Never mind. We'll consider it right now. So 5 years hence, John would be 2 times as old as Jenny, right? So that part is this one. So this one is not answering. So B was out, but A, I don't know. I don't remember doing A, but I'll just do it. Jack is 5 years older than Jenny. Okay, fair enough. So Jack, which is Z, is 5 years older than Jenny. So Z is 5, Y plus 5. Okay. Yeah. Right. This is the right. Okay. So this one doesn't tell me Jack's age. So A was out. Yeah. D was out. Then B is also out. Taking both together, once we get Y is equal to 5, we can plug it out here and we come to know Z is 10. So Jack is 10. Jenny is 5 and John is 15. So that's how we figure out. So C is the answer. Yeah. Eighth question. Vicky is enrolled in astrophysics but not math. Victor is enrolled in math but not chemistry. Yeah. So we can say Vicky is X, Victor is Y, and Veronica is Z. Okay. So X, Y, and Z. So Vicky is enrolled in astrophysics, right? But not math. Yeah. Right. So we can clearly have astro, math, and chemistry. Okay. Right. Like that. Okay. So we'll just put a tick mark out here. Enrolled in astrophysics but not math. Okay. Victor's enrolled in math but not chemistry. And Veronica, which is Z, is enrolled in chemistry but not astrophysics. They all are enrolled in exactly two subjects. And does Victor, they all are enrolled in exactly two subjects. Does Victor enroll in astrophysics? So Victor's Y. Now, is he, this is the question out here. Does he enroll in this? Now, if they all enrolled in exactly two subjects, right? We need to figure out whether these three are the only subjects that has been offered to them. Now, if that is true, then we clearly know that if Victor, that is Y, has taken maths and not chemistry, then clearly the second subject has to be astrophysics. But first, we need to figure out whether these three are the only subjects. So, statement A, B, C, D. There are a total of three subjects available for enrollment, which are math, chemistry, and astrophysics. Available for enrollment. So these are the only three subjects. So clearly A answers. A answers. So B, C, E is out. It's either A or D. All right. So we know that astro, math, and chemistry, these are the only three subjects offered. So obviously, if Victor doesn't like chemistry, yeah, and likes math, then the second subject has to be astro. Second statement, Vicky is enrolled in chemistry as well. Now, Vicky is X, right? She's enrolled in chemistry as well. Okay, fair enough, right? Now that doesn't tell me anything um about the fact that are these the three subjects which are the only subjects offered, right? So B statement doesn't answer the question. So therefore D is out, A is the only answer. So eighth one is A. Yeah. So remember to take the B on its own. If you include the A by mistake, then you will get the B wrong as well. You might just say, okay, B answers. Anyway, so consider the question stem information out here along with each statement separately. Usually you get carried away if you are in a rush. So make sure you take out enough time, read them carefully with one go, right? Ninth one. Okay. Right. Okay. Rena has 10 marbles more than Remy. Remy has twice as many marbles as Ramona. How many marbles does Ramona have now? Okay, so again we have triple V's, triple R's, so always use X, Y, Z to avoid confusion. So let Rena be X, Remy be Y, and Ramona be Z. Okay, so X has 10 more than Remy, so this is the equation, and Remy has twice as many marbles as Ramona. Now we have to find Z. Okay, so first statement, if Remy gave 3 marbles to Rena, then he would be left with as many marbles as Ramona. So that'll be the thing, yeah. Now if that's the situation, then this one out here, we can figure out if Remy gave 3 marbles to Rena, then this is what is left, right? So then out here, y is z plus 3, yeah, or z is y minus 3, right? So y is equal to 2 times um, z, which is y minus 3, correct? Yeah. If Remy gave 3 marbles to Rena, then he would be left with as many marbles as Ramona has now. Okay. Hmm. So y is equal to 2y minus 6. So y is equal to 6. Y is equal to 6, so z is equal to 3. We get the answer, right? We don't care about this equation. Doesn't matter. So A, B, C, D, A answers. E, C, B is out. It's either A or D. Second statement, right? Now remember, this is already with us from the questions now. Rena has one more than Rena has one more than 5 times as many marbles as Ramona has now. Correct? So then this we can plug in here. So we get 1 plus 5z is equal to 10 plus y. And what is y? Y is 2z. So I'll just complete it out here. 1 plus 5z is equal to 10 plus 2z. So 3z is equal to 9, z is equal to 3. So we get the same answer. Each alone answer. So D is the answer. Okay. Last one. Right. Hmm. There are a total of 400 investors who have all invested in at least one of the three funds: active, balance, and classic. Find out how many have invested exactly, how many have invested in exactly one fund. So one fund, if you consider this to be A, then A plus 10 plus M. So only active, only balance, and only classic is your question. This is how much. Okay. If 150 have invested in active and 200 have invested in balance. Okay. So that's the information we have. This is NWY 105M. Okay. Right. There are 3 times as many investors of active funds only as those who have invested in classic fund only. So A is 3M. There are 3 times as many investors of active fund only as those who have invested in classic fund only. So that's what the first statement means. A is 3M. So we know that this A is now 3M. Correct? Right. So this is 3M plus 10 plus M. So we know 4M plus 10. This is what we need to find out. 4M plus 10. Now, if this whole thing is 150 and this is 10 plus Y plus M, all right. So we know the 400, when they use the word all have invested in at least one of the three funds, that means outside there is 0. All right. So every investor has invested in active, balance, or classic. So there is no investor who's not invested in all these. Okay. So then if we consider the 400 to be all included in these circles, then 400 is equal to this circle 150 plus 10 and Y plus M. So that is your thing. So we know this is 400 and 160. So that leaves us with 240 is equal to Y plus M. So we get this, but yet we are not able to get 4M plus 10, right? If we figure out Y, then we get M, and then we can get the answer, but we don't know Y. So statement A, B, C, D, E, A is not sufficient, D is out. Okay, so it's either B, C, or E. Okay, right. So this is 150, 200, yeah, and we continue. Statement B, the number of investors of balanced fund only is half as many as those who have invested in active and classic fund only. So active and classic fund only is W. So this 10 is half of W. So W is 20. Correct? W is 20. So this W is 20. Right? And what we need to find out is, if we assume A is active fund only, so A plus 10 plus M. Okay? Right. So from the balance fund circle, we know that N plus Y is 185. Okay. Right. And we know that 400 is equal to A plus B plus C minus only 2 funds minus 2 times all 3. Right. So 400 is equal to 150 plus 200 plus C. C we don't know, but we know it is 25 plus Y plus M. This is 25 and Y plus M is the C part, classic, balance, active, right? This is the C part, okay? Minus only two funds. So minus only two funds is 20 plus N plus Y. So N plus Y is 185. And if you add another 20, it gives you the only two fund category, right? N, Y, and this 20, which was W, is two fund category. So this formula is basically the A union B union C equivalent of what we learned in our school days. So in our school days, we learned this formula. When we did Venn diagrams, we learned A plus B plus C minus A intersection B minus B intersection C minus A intersection C plus A intersection B intersection C. So the equivalent of this is this formula also, right? Right. So this is for advanced math learners. So if you don't know, just remember this is the case. 400 is A union B union C, which is A plus B plus C minus only two funds minus two all three. So minus only two funds will be, if you add 20 to this, will be 205. And then minus 10 because 2 times all three, 2 times 5. So then what we get is 400 is equal to 350 plus 25 is 375. Yeah. Plus Y plus M minus 215. All right, so we're left with Y plus M again. Okay. Actually, we don't need this formula. Hang on, my bad. But it's a good thing you just learned a new formula to get to the answer. What we can do is we can use the circles to get to the answer. So this is what we're gonna do. I mean, using the formula, it could have been quite lengthy, which I'll show you anyways using the formula again, right? But let's just get to the answer. So we know this N plus Y is 185 and this W part is 20. So plus 20, right? So that's 205. Now, if you look at this diagram out here, the 400 is equal to A plus N plus 5 plus 20. That is the entire 150, right? But we'll just write it as A plus N plus 5 plus 20 plus 10 plus Y. This is from the B portion. So once we cover this circle, then 10 plus Y plus M is what is remaining, right? And we need to find out A plus 10 plus M. All right. Yeah. Right. All right. Anyway. So now, yeah. So this is the W part. Okay. This is the W part, which is 20 we found from the second statement. So 400 is equal to A plus N. Now remember Wn plus Y is 205. So this the W portion, this is the N portion, and this is the Y portion. So this, and this is 205. So A plus 205 plus 5 plus 10 plus M. All right, and we need to find A plus 10 plus M. So A plus 10 plus M is this portion. So 400 minus 205 minus 5 is equal to A plus 10 plus M. So therefore, we get 190. Correct? 400 minus 210, 190 is A plus 10 plus M, and that's the answer because that is what exactly we're looking for. Okay, so now we'll use that formula. We'll come to that formula now. Okay, right? So we'll rewrite this 150, 200, 400. This is A, okay? And the formula is 400. The formula is A union B union C is equal to A plus B plus C minus only two group, yeah, minus twice three, all three. So 400 is equal to A, which is we'll write it as A plus N plus 5 plus W, right? Plus B. B is what? This entire thing, right? So that will be 10 plus N plus Y plus 5 plus C, which is this entire thing, which is W plus 5 plus Y plus M minus only two groups. So only two group we found out from statement B. Remember, we are working on statement B only because A, B, C, D, A did not help us get to the answer. So A was out, D was out, so we left with B, C, and E. So B gives us the answer basically. All right, C and E is out. We're working on B, but in a different way. All right. So this is A plus B plus C. This part is C, this part is B, and this part is A. Minus only two groups. Only two group. We figured out that if this is 200, then N plus Y is 185. Yeah. And then from the second statement, we found out W is twice this, so it's 20. So N plus Y, which is 185 plus 20 is 205. And then minus 10 for twice of all three. Fair enough. And remember, we need to find what? We need to find A plus M plus 10. Okay, so I'll just write it down out here. A plus M plus 10. So we got to just bifurcate this one from this entire equation. Yeah. So we got two W's. Yeah. We leave alone A as it is. We leave alone, uh, we got 2N. Okay. So 2N. We got a 5 and a 10 and a 5. So we'll just write it down as 5 plus 10 plus y is 2y. So this y with this y. So this y and y is considered plus 5. Yeah. So all of these are accounted for. And then we have another 5 and an m, right? Plus 5 plus m minus 215. Okay. And that is 400 out here. So 400 is equal to 2 times w, 2 times n, 2 times y. And we know what is w, n, and y. So 2 times w plus n plus y. This, and this is out. And then we have plus a, 10, and m, which we are going to keep as separate. A, 10, and m. Okay. So a plus 10 plus m. This is accounted for. Keep them separate. And then we have 5 and 5, 10, another 5, 15, and minus 250. So plus 15 minus 250. Okay. So this is 2 times w plus n plus y is 205. So remember, it's 2 times 205. Why 205? Because n plus y is 185. This whole circle is 200. There's 15 out here and n plus y. So n plus y is 185. And we got this from the second statement. This is double of this, or this is half of this. So w is 20. Correct? Right. So w plus n plus y, this is 185 and 20, 205. Plus this whole thing is a plus 10 plus m, which we keep as it is. And this one will become minus 200. Yeah. So that is 410 minus 200, right? And this is as it is, plus a plus 10 plus m, right? So this is 190 No, 210, my bad, 210, and then a plus 10 plus m. This is 400. So 400 minus 210 is 190. So 190 is what we get as the final answer. So it was too lengthy doing it that way. That's why I figured out that it would confuse you. So I just went with the straight direct method. Yeah. So that's it, guys. A doesn't answer, B is the answer. This was a very time consuming, calculated question. Yeah. So B is the answer. That's it. Thank you very much. As usual, remember to first solve the worksheet and then look at this video, right, for the solutions. Thank you.